My name is James Uzoma Peter, linebacker from the Honor of the GGs, and I'm a Nigerian descent.
Hi, I'm Liam Wrigley, and I'm a First Nations member of the Red Rock Indian Band.
Hi everyone, my name is Chase Arsenault. I'm a member of the McMaster men's football team, and I'm here to talk to you about some stereotypes that I've had to grow up with.
I can remember for much of my life, especially when I was younger, coming off a really good football game or a track event or something like that. And sometimes I remember kids would say, well, of course you did well, you're black and you're gifted, you're supposed to excel at sports. The problem with the stereotype is that people can't see beyond you as an athlete. And I remember getting compliments, even when I was younger, that I feel like I wouldn't get if I were not black. Comments about how well I'm doing in school, comments about how well I speak. And I feel like that's directed towards my identity as a black man. And the stereotype is something that I continue to battle with today, but it helps me to kind of push past it, and I feel like I always have to prove myself, which shouldn't be the case, because at the end of the day, I'm just like anyone else, and I'm just as capable as anyone else.
So growing up as an African-American male and who also plays sports, there's a lot of things I've experienced throughout the years where there's sometimes where people will see me and be intimidated by me because the way I'm dressed or whatever. And when I talk, they're kind of confused. There's a term where it's you don't talk black or whatever. And that's kind of a stereotype because they try to perceive as black males or black individuals are not articulate. So they're not that educated. So that's a huge stereotype that I receive often.
A stereotype that not only myself, but other black women and black men have faced is the fact that people perceive us as being aggressive, non-intellectual, being emotionally driven, our actions being driven based on our emotions. But in the fact, that's not the case at all.
Being a biracial man, I understand the privileges that have been given to me, being born with a lighter complexion. But with that, I had many struggles growing up, and even to this day, I'm told that I shouldn't be as much of an advocate for black issues because these problems don't affect me because I'm not black enough. But yet I still get racially profiled by the police. So it's kind of been a struggle for me and my identity in developing as a man.
I've heard many stereotypes about First Nations people throughout my life, but there's one that I really wanted to touch on today. That's the notion that First Nations people get everything handed to them from the government. This is just not the reality. This is something that goes back into the 1700s and the early 1800s when treaties were being signed. So these treaties were terrible deals for First Nations people, as they were given small payouts and small reserves for massive amounts of land. This then later led to the British North American Act in 1867 and the Indian Act in 1876, which gave the government full control over First Nations reserves and economy. It wasn't only until in the recent decades that First Nations people were actually able to own their own land again and own their own businesses. This set First Nations economy back an immeasurable amount of time, as land is the primary factor of economic growth and development. It's only in recent years that the government of Canada began to pay out proper reparations for the land that they had taken. And unfortunately, no amount of money can actually take back the years of economic development and capacity that First Nations lost.